In the shadows of the cradle of humankind, buried beneath millions of years of earth and stone, scientists found fragments, bones, jaws, teeth, silent witnesses to a world that no longer exists. But these weren't just fossils. They belonged to a creature no one had expected. A hominin that didn't quite fit the tree of human evolution. In 2010, paleoanthropologist Dr. Darren Kernow made a bold claim. These ancient bones, some dating back nearly 2 million years, didn't belong to Homo habilis or Australopithecus. He named a new species, Homo Gautengensis. But here's the twist. Almost no one talks about it. Buried in controversy, overshadowed by flashier finds, Homo Gautengensis is the human ancestor that almost disappeared. Again. What was this species? Did it walk, speak, think? And why does its very existence challenge everything we thought we knew? Let's uncover the strange, mysterious story of the forgotten human of Gauteng. The story begins in the fossil-rich province of Gauteng, South Africa. This area, appropriately nicknamed the cradle of humankind, has given us some of the most famous fossils in human history. Mrs. Pless, Littlefoot, and Australopithecus sediba. But among the hundreds of bone fragments excavated over decades, there were outliers, pieces that didn't quite belong to any known species. Skulls that were too big for Australopithecines, but too primitive for early Homo. Teeth that showed advanced chewing, but lacked clear classification. Kernow took a closer look and proposed something radical. These scattered bones, some from as early as 1.9 million years ago, all belonged to one previously unrecognized species, Homo Gautengensis. If true, it would make Gautengensis the earliest known member of our genus, possibly predating Homo habilis itself. A human ancestor, older than the first human ancestor, smarter than expected. What makes Homo Gautengensis so strange is the contradiction between brain size and behavior. The cranial capacity is estimated at about 450 to 600 cubic centimeters, larger than most Australopithecines, but smaller than what we expect for early Homo species. Yet the dental wear patterns suggest the use of tools for food processing. Some of the sites associated with the fossils contain primitive stone tools, known as uman tools, typically associated with Homo habilis. Could this species have crafted tools with a brain only marginally larger than a chimpanzee's? If so, it would challenge one of the most entrenched ideas in paleoanthropology, that bigger brains equal more intelligence. Maybe evolution wasn't a straight line of increasing brain power. Maybe Gautengensis found its own way to survive. A short, stocky, tool-using species, adapted to an unforgiving world filled with saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, and shifting climate zones. Here's where it gets weirder. Many scientists remain skeptical about whether Homo Gautengensis deserves its own species status. Some say the bones are just a mix of Homo habilis and Australopithecus africanus. Others argue that the material is too fragmented to draw clear conclusions. And there's the problem. We may have found the oldest Homo species, but because it doesn't fit the expected evolutionary path, it's been ignored or dismissed. Sound familiar? Think of Homo sapronensis, or Homo naledi, or even the Denisovans, an entire lineage discovered from a single pinky bone in a Siberian cave. History keeps whispering the same message. We are missing chapters of our story. Homo Gautengensis might be one of them. So what did Gautengensis look like? Based on the fragments, they stood roughly 1.1 to 1.3 meters tall, walked upright, and had long arms, likely for climbing. Their jaws were powerful, suggesting a diet of hard, fibrous plants, seeds, and possibly meat. But here's the curious part. The teeth, especially the molars, were heavily worn, suggesting the use of tools to process food, or even the use of fire. Although no direct evidence of fire has been found at those sites. Could they speak? There's no way to know, but their anatomy suggests they could have had a basic vocal range. Maybe not language as we know it, but communication nonetheless. Imagine it, a tribe of Gautengensis, huddled in a cave passing knowledge, warning of predators sharing stories we'll never hear. Lost in the dust of time. Why did Homo Gautengensis vanish? Climate change? Competition with other Homo species? Evolutionary bottlenecks? We don't know. Maybe they were outcompeted by Homo ergaster or Homo erectus, species with bigger brains, better tools, and stronger social structures. Or maybe they weren't wiped out at all, but merged, interbred, became part of the human mosaic that eventually led to us. Just like with the Neanderthals and Denisovans, fragments of their DNA could still echo in our blood. But we'll never know, because we don't yet have any Gautengensis DNA to test. So, what does Homo Gautengensis teach us? That the human story is not linear. It's tangled, chaotic, and full of forgotten branches. That survival doesn't always go to the biggest brain or the fastest runner. And most of all, that for every skull in a museum case, there are dozens of vanished ancestors buried under layers of stone, waiting to be found. Maybe even under your feet right now. Homo Gautengensis is the human you never knew. We talk about evolution like a straight staircase. Ape, to early human, to us. But the truth is, it's a forest of forks, dead ends, and surprises. They walked the earth long before cities, long before empires, before names, and they left behind just enough to say, "We were here." Maybe that's what makes them so human after all. If you're fascinated by the lost chapters of human history, you're not alone. But only 1% of viewers ever subscribe. Don't vanish like Gautengensis. Hit that subscribe button and join 5 Minutes of Culture, where the past isn't just remembered, it's resurrected. Because sometimes, to understand the future, you have to meet the ancestors no one talks about.